episode 2. So if you didn't watch the last episode, you won't really know the format of the show, so why don't you give that a watch? Other than that, let's get to some more NES SHMUPS. First up, Double Strike. Wow, this game is a piece of crap. First off, the graphics are pretty dull, especially for a game from 1990. I mean, you play what looks like the Beatles' Yellow Submarine in a fluffy cloud landscape, being barraged by repetitive enemies with super fast bullets. There's a few exciting options for weapons like 1 bullet, or 2 bullets, or 3. Holy crap, that's amazing. There's also a spread weapon, which is better than the 3, but the best weapon is just getting the bomb. Since pretty much everything shoots head on, it's best to be at the top of the screen just creating a wave of bombs, which will obliterate anything in its path, at least to level 2 where it changed it up and just pretty much completely destroyed me, but I had no will to keep playing this piece of crap. Dude. Air Fortress. This game's kind of interesting. It's one part shoot 'em up and one part sort of side scroller. The story involves a peaceful race that gets attacked by a series of air fortresses in space. Then you go with your trusty light blaster and armored suit. Very creative with the equipment names there. Must go fortress to fortress, blowing them up. So each level starts with a bit of horizontal scrolling where you collect power-ups for the upcoming Air Fortress part. This is the meat of the game, where you must adventure through the Air Fortress to blow up the core, and repeat. It's okay, but a little repetitive and a little dull to be honest, but something kept me playing, so there's something, you know. I'd give it like a C, maybe C+. Burai Fighter, or Burai, whatever. This is a pretty entertaining game. It is one of the few shoot 'em ups that allows you to aim in any direction, boasts multiple weapons that can be powered up multiple times by collecting weapon orbs. The stages are intense and frantic and offer a good challenge. There are also 4 difficulty modes, including a secret ultimate difficulty that can be unlocked. The bosses are varied and pretty entertaining. The only drawback is a couple levels are overhead free roaming levels where you just head towards a base and blow up its turrets. They're not nearly as fun as the well-designed side-scrolling levels. B+. Image Fight. What we got here is an example of a game that almost gets it right. The game has a varied weapon selection, some decent graphics, but bad audio, but fairly intense gameplay. But there is one kind of game-breaking issue. The default gun is way too weak. When you're in your weakened state, some enemies seem to just be unaffected, and even when you're attacking ships that hold power-ups, it takes like 10-15 shots just to destroy it, which usually leads to your death. But when you die, you reset to no power-ups, and the game becomes almost unplayable as you can't destroy half the ships. It's really difficult to get powered up again. Like C+. Whoa. King's Knight, made by Square. I mean, Square is responsible for some of the most respected RPGs ever. So this must be... Wow, what a piece of crap. So you play as a knight, wizard, monster, and a thief on an epic adventure with slow, sluggish monsters, and you shoot the environment. Then you go into a cave, is where I died pretty much every single time. Then you move to the next character and you try to get through the level. It's another game that can be completed in like 20 minutes, but it was so boring that I really just did not want to keep playing. This is a D, just because, I mean, there's a little bit to it. I mean, the idea is cool, but fails in the execution. So, let's follow this fantasy failure with a fantasy success. This is Legendary Wings, an awesome, inspired shoot-'em-up with two-player simultaneous action. This game is pretty awesome, as it switches from vertical scrolling to horizontal scrolling. It's simple, it has varying environments, and good level length. But it is fairly challenging, as you die in one hit. But it is fair with the challenge, and the only real drawbacks is that you repeat the same boss every time you enter the final cave. But really, other than that, it's a pretty good game. It's a solid B. Spy Hunter. The arcade classic is on the NES, and it's a little too fast. I mean, sometimes it's so fast for the NES, it just can't handle it. Kidding aside, this game is a little wild and unpredictable, so maybe I just suck at it. But I was dying all the time when I played this. In Spy Hunter, you play as a spy, obviously, who has a supercar to stop bad guys, equipped with a machine gun, smokescreen, and oil slick. It was hard to hold a decent speed. Like, it's hard to be at the right speed without being super fast and just running into everything, or just painfully slow. And, the turning is a little too sensitive for my taste. Regardless, there is, some fun to be had if you can kind of get used to the breakneck speed, but there's just a little too many problems. I'd probably give it a C. Now, Super Spy Hunter. Now the sequel to Spy Hunter really ups the ante and is an awesome game. It took what was good about the first game and pretty much improved all the aspects I complained about. Apparently this was based on Spy Hunter 2 for their arcade, but they really don't have anything in common, which is good, because Spy Hunter 2 is often described as one of the crappiest sequels to any game ever. This version though, the graphics are way improved, including some crazy little graphical effects when you're like turning. Plus they also give some warning indicators when like things are about to approach, either jumps or sudden splits in the road, which is really, really nice. Also, the guns, you can adjust where they point, and they're like lots of varied level design, and they're now end bosses, which is pretty awesome. Plus, it's Sunsoft, and they included an amazing soundtrack. So, this is a pretty solid B. Adventures of Dino Riki. Okay. Another game where you're not a ship, but rather a caveman fighting dinosaurs. Interesting idea, but this game is pretty bad. Mostly because, well, first off, the shmup elements are okay. I mean, you have upgradable speed, you got weapons, etc. But someone thought it would be an awesome idea if you could include jumping in a scrolling game. And it is a really bad idea because you can get super fast with speed power-ups, and the jumping is really hard control. There's one point, it was just one thing I had to jump over, and I died there almost every single time. This game only has a limited amount of levels, and it repeats once they are all done, so you can try to go for a high score. But who really cares if you become the champion of the Adventures of Dino Riki? This is a D. Gunnack. From the makers of Xanac comes Gunnack, and it's even better than Xanac. Holy crap, this is amazing. It's a parody version of Xanac, kind of like if you know what Parodius is. Parodius is a parody of Gradius. It was only in Japan pretty much, but this is kind of the same idea. In Gunnack, all the enemies are like carrots and bunnies that become evil and come to life, and they're attacking. But the gameplay is incredible. You have lots of like different weapon types, and you have to save money to buy upgrades to your ship. Man, I really want this game. I'm gonna go get a copy. Oh. Damn. Other than the price tag, this is a really awesome game. I recommend it. A. Mission Cobra. Damn it! Another crappy chopper game. Why are there so many shitty helicopter games on the NES? This may be one of the most dull games I have ever played on the NES. The graphics are just dull as crap. They're just blue with gray rocks. Woo! And the music consists of snare drum with helicopter noises and laser sounds. Oh my god. It's really boring. This fails. Metal Fighter, another game from the Crap Factory, that is Color Dreams, Bunch Games, and Wisdom Tree, the maker of Mission Cobra, and all sorts of just terrible games on the NES. It is a side-scrolling shooter where you play as a flying robot mech thing and you fight things. You can get weapons, but every time you collect one, you go to another, extra screen, and you have to fight a mirror image of yourself. Why? Why do I have to fight myself in order to get a power-up? Plus, these can be a little difficult sometimes, and if you die, you lose life. So you have to risk your life just to power up, which sucks. But it is way better than Mission Cobra, because the graphics are actually something to look at, and well, other than that, it's still pretty much a piece of crap. This is D. Fantasy Zone. This is an NES port of the Sega Arcade Classic. It's an okay game for the NES. The stages consist of killing certain type of enemies and collecting money to buy power-ups. It's kind of set like a Defender type game where you can scroll freely from the left to the right, and you have to destroy these kind of bigger enemies in order to progress to the boss. You collect money to buy all sorts of different power-ups, which is pretty cool. And the bosses are pretty creative and challenging. And I'm only going to show you the one, but I'll let you experience others. It's a pretty solid game. I give it a B-. SCAT for Special Cybernetic Attack Team. And no, it does not involve poop or jazzy singing. Thank God. In Europe, it's called Action in New York or Final Mission in Japan. Thankfully, the name is the worst part about this game, because the game is pretty awesome. You can aim left or right, and you have little floaty thingies which you can either lock in place or let them freely roam, which is pretty sweet. Also, you have to keep firing continuously because you actually move in multiple directions within the same level. And the action is really intense. It's another great game from Natsume. But, like Gunnak, came out pretty late in the NES lifespan. It is pretty pricey to get a copy nowadays. Other than that, it's pretty sweet. A. Well, until next time, goodbye.